The holidays are about spending time with your loved ones and creating magical memories that will last a lifetime. So whether it's family and friends you haven't seen in a while, or those who you see all the time, share holiday magic this season with an ice-cold Coca-Cola. Copyright 2024, The Coca-Cola Company.
70,000 people are here, and Bob Dylan is the reason for it.
Inspired by the true story.
If anyone is going to hold your attention on a stage, you have to kind of be a freak.
Are you a freak?
Hope so.
And starring Timothée Chalamet as Bob Dylan. He defied everyone.
Turn it down!
Play loud!
To change everything.
Make some noise, BD.
Timothée Chalamet, Edward Norton, Elle Fanning, Monica Barbaro. A complete unknown. Only in theaters Christmas Day. Rated R. Under 17, not admitted without parent.
For over 50 years, Burlington's legacy has been great deals on coats for all weather conditions. So before you're caught unprepared for the winter weather, head to Burlington for name brands, quality items, and surprising fits for every family member. Stock up on coats, sweaters, and accessories before the cold hits, so you can finally stop avoiding the elements and start living comfortably. Warm up at your nearest Burlington location less than 1 mile away. Burlington. Deals, brands, wow.
If Chelsea were behaving like that, the media would paint it and say, well, they're just being street smart, they're just being savvy. When Forest try those tactics, you know, we're football terrorists.
Hello and welcome to 1865, the Nottingham Forest podcast. And in this pre-Christmas edition, we will have the Wheel of Misfortune, Hombres under the Hammer, the 1865 Christmas quiz, and Tricky Tree, Tracks of My Tears. We've also got an interview with City Ground Stadium announcer Mark Dennison, who's reporting back on the season so far from the touchline, plus Jeremy Davies joins us for his festive sketch. Welcome to Football Terrorists.
Football Terrorists.
I am your host, Rich Ferraro, and I'm joined by this guy, Maradona Of The Midlands. Say hello.
Season's greetings.
Unbelievably, we have brought you over 50 podcasts already this season. This is number 51, and we've had match reports on both the men's and women's teams, our weekly Friday 5 news roundups and match previews, and in the next few weeks we'll have some more good stuff for you if you enjoy Forest being in the European places. And of course, let's just get that out of the way. Forest are top 4 at Christmas. Let's just have a moment for that to sink in. Well, a visceral reaction there from our panel. So let's welcome our guests for this podcast. Contestant number 1, what's been your highlight in the last month or so? Welcome, Tom Newton.
Morning. The highlight of the month so far has to be the win at Manchester United. As a Forest fan growing up in the 90s and having the insufferable Man United fans saying your team's crap and everything else, that was very sweet to go to Old Trafford. It's, even though they've been on the decline in recent years, it's still a special place to win a game of football, and that is my moment of the month so far.
Stephen Topless, what about you?
Hello, my highlight, because I can't pick the Man United game, is beating Villa late on and the goal from Anthony Elanga. After everything that happened in that game with the disallowed goal, and it felt like things weren't going for us, to still come back and win so late on against such a good team in Villa was massive. Great moment. City Ground erupted. It's just so special.
And we have a special guest for today's Football Terrorist. So welcome, a voice that regular listeners may have heard, but Steve Burns, welcome to Football Terrorist. And what's been your highlight?
Thanks for having me back. I think, like Stephen, my highlight is probably the win against Villa, which I was watching in a spit and sawdust pub down in Kent. Never thought we were going to come back from that after the world-class save and then the goal from John Duran. But yeah, brilliant to see them come back. And Ola Aina continuing to run himself into the ground in every single game he's playing at the moment.
And finding the energy to dance along afterwards.
Absolutely.
And Maradona Of The Midlands, for the record, let's hear from you. What's been your favourite moment or moments since the last Football Terrorist podcast?
think he's got to be winning away at Old Trafford. It's just knowing that we're better, knowing pre-match that we're better than them, and we should go there and win, and then actually following through with it and getting the win, and a deserved win at that. That was the most satisfying thing, I think, for me.
Wonderful. Okay, so for today's first feature, actually, we are going straight back to you, Maradona. So over to you.
Hi, yeah, well, it is I, the Maradona of the Midlands, your favourite here. Anyway, this is the Wheel of Misfortune!
Bum, bum, bum.
Okay, I'm going to spin the wheel and it will bring up a topic. Then give our panellists 30 seconds to share their views, and points will be awarded for the best responses. At the end of today's show, the panellists with the most points will get to choose a song of their choice as our closing music. Rich, it's over to you.
Okay, let's go to Tom first of all, and let's spin the wheel and find out what your topic is going to be. And Tom, your topic is Morato. You have 30 seconds starting now.
So since he come from Benfica, he's been absolutely magnificent. I know he's not really started a game yet, but he's only while he's been on the pitch, we've only let one goal in with the Jeremy Doku goal. He's 1/3 of our granite centre-halves with Morato and Murillo there and Milenkovic there. He's been absolutely brilliant since he's come on. He's never let us down. He's very strong in the tackle, and he's just brilliant, and I can't wait to see more of him.
Bingo bango. Thank you very much, Tom. Our second contestant is Stephen, so let's find out what you get on the Wheel of Misfortune. And your topic, Stephen, is Nico Dominguez, and your 30 seconds start now.
Nico Dominguez has been a key part of the team this season. He's been there for some of our most memorable games and memorable victories. Man United, Liverpool, he's been involved, and Villa, of course, as well at home. He's not a flashy player, but he does the basics really well and to a very high standard, and his positioning is excellent. He's a hard worker, and he's been 2 world-class saves away from 2 goals against Villa and Leicester. Hopefully that goal comes soon.
Thank you very much, Stephen. Steve Burns, let's go over to you and let's find out what you get on the Wheel of Misfortune. And Steve, we're going to give you 30 seconds to talk about Matt's cells, and your 30 seconds start now.
This time last year, the City Ground had an acoustic problem. It was the sound of 30,000 people gasping and having kittens every time the ball was passed back to Matt Turner. In his first game for Forest at the City Ground against Newcastle, the ball was passed back to Matt Sells and he kicked it to a defender. Well, that was simple. Matt Sells joins a long list of players from Newcastle who have been Van Damned, as it were, by their fans, like Jack Colback and Chris Wood, who have been successful at the City Ground. The less said about John Joe Shelby, the better.
Thank you very much, Steve. Maradona, we've got some strong representations there, haven't we? And will you help me choose who you thought was the best out of those 3?
Gosh, it's very difficult, isn't it? They're all so good. They're all so good, as Pep would say. Let's say, oh God, well, I didn't know how to make these sort of tough decisions.
Tell you what. What we're going to do? We're going to have our joint. We're going to have our joint topic, which is everyone's going to get 30 seconds, including you, Maradona, on one final topic. And let's see what the wheel brings up. And the final topic that everyone's going to get a go at is Nuno Espirito Santo. And Maradona, I'm putting you on the spot here, but I want you to start on this one. So 30 seconds on Nuno starting now.
Okay, well, I didn't know I was doing this, so let's give it a go. Well, his name is pretty much like Santa Claus, which seems very apt at this time of year. I've noticed he had his teeth whitened over the summer, which, along with Gary O'Neill as well. Maybe they both go to the same dentist in Wolverhampton and they had a special deal, or maybe it's a Groupon offer. I don't know. But they may be a bit too white for me. It's a bit disconcerting. It's a bit worse than yellow teeth. But he's done a great job and he's got a nice beard.
Thank you very much, Maradona. Let's see who's going next. Let's do it in reverse order. So, Steve Burns, over to you. 30 seconds on Nuno.
Okay, so I think following Steve Cooper was seen by many as being a poison chalice. With the side order of AFCON absences, Mark Clattenburg and PSR deductions. Nuno's had an early win against Manchester United, which helped settle things. But remember, there was talk of him actually leaving during the summer, which seems ridiculous now. A poll in The Athletic suggested that Forest fans were the most optimistic, and much to giggles from onlookers. And thankfully, Nuno has done the business this season for us.
Thank you very much, Steve. Okay. By the way, it just occurred to me that maybe Nuno had his teeth whitened as a riposte to accusations about Steve Cooper's dental situation. I don't know. Which would be mostly unfair because I don't think you should judge people on the way they look. Anyway, Stephen Topless, let's go to you. 30 seconds on Nuno, starting now.
I wouldn't have dreamed that Nuno would have Forest in the position he's got them now. Third in the league at Christmas. It's remarkable. And the job he's done in the last 12 months to keep Forest up in the Premier League and then take us on the way he has is incredible. He deserves all the credit in the world. Tactically, spot on. I think as a person, he's warm to the job. There were worries about him coming in, that he'd be distant and cold. None of that. I think he's manager of the season.
Oh, that's a big call there from Stephen. So let's see, Tom, what you've got to add on the topic of Nuno Espirito Santo. Your 30 seconds start now.
Since Nuno come in a year ago, he's been absolutely brilliant. He's always had a lot of dignity about the job and everything, and more the shenanigans last season. And then this season he's been unbelievable. Master tactician. He's got that smile back on his face. And he's done something what Cloughy didn't even do, and that was winning at Anfield. And he's also won at Manchester United this season. And we're fourth in the Premier League. And all the Christmases have come at once with Nuno at the helm.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Tom. So now I've got the unenviable task of awarding some points. And Maradona, you get 5 points just purely because I put you on the spot there and you coped admirably, slightly surreally as well. So a bonus point there. So well done.
He love to ketchup on his chips too.
Oh, I didn't know we were going to get a visit from the Count. And then... let's have a think. Stephen, I'm going to give you 10 points. Tom, you're going to get 12 points because you get 2 bonus points there for using the word shenanigans. But winning this particular round is going to be Steve Burns with 15 points. So well done, everyone. And now it's time for a new feature. And this one is called Hombres Under the Hammer.
Well, we've all seen the popular TV show Homes Under the Hammer, presented by the magnificent Dion Dublin. In this game, I'm going to name a Spanish or Latin American Forest player, past or present. Panelists, you have to guess whether the club made a profit, a loss, or broke even once they left the club. Bonus points if you can tell us how much we signed him for and how much he was sold for when he left the club. Right.
Okay. Yeah, so who do you think should go first this time, Maradona?
Well, as he's a special guest for us, we'll go for Steve Burns, Old Man Burns, as he's known in on the mean streets of Arnold. And for him, I'm going to give you a rather unknown player, I guess, for many people, but one that I don't know, it's always stuck in my mind. Young Carlos Marino, or Charlie, as David Platt called him, who I was shocked to discover is in his 40s now. Ooh, where did the time go? So, Steve Burns.
Yeah, speaking of 40s, I am still in my 40s. I'm clinging on by my fingernails, so less of the old man, please. If it's from the Platt era, I'm guessing that's one we made a loss on. And signings, go on. Let's have a guess. We bought for 5 million and sold for 2. There we go. I'll pluck some numbers out of the air.
Well, I'll write those down. I don't know why, but I'm going to write those down just in case I need them later on. Okay. Next.
Shall we move on to move on to the next one, and then we'll reveal the answers later.
We'll reveal the answers later. We know what we're doing. Don't you worry about that.
Yeah.
We'll go on to Tom. Yeah, let's go to Tom. He knows a thing or two about football. For Tom, I'm going to give you Gonzalo Alejandro Ayala Reyes, otherwise known as Gonzalo Yara or Gonzo to his mates. So, Tom, how did we make a profit on Gonzalo Yara?
I think we broke even. I think we signed him on a free from West Brom and we released him.
Oh, interesting. A bit of a curveball there, eh? Yeah. Yeah, not much gets past young Tom there. Yeah. Right, so finally, it just leaves the best in the business, Stephen Topless. I'm expecting him to smash this because he's like an encyclopedia of forest knowledge. For you, Stephen, I give you the enigmatic Argentinian superstar, Claudio Jacob. Now, did we make a profit on Claudio Jacob?
I think we did make a profit on Claudio Jacob. I think we got him on a free, might have been from West Brom again, actually. And then I think we sold him, I don't remember who to, probably, I don't know, River Plate or somebody like that for about 850,000.
Oh. Well, that's interesting. Stephen thinks that we managed to get a transfer fee out of an Argentinian club during their economic meltdown. I
wonder go stick the knife in, why don't you?
No, but that's fine. It's fine. It's just it's all a bit of fun. It's just a bit of fun, Stephen. Don't worry about it.
It's only a game.
Only a game. So now we have the 3 guesses.
Shall we recap the answers that we've had from our guests?
Old man Burns, Steve Burns, he gets an incoming transfer fee of £5 million for Carlos Marino, an outgoing one of £2 million. Tom guessed a free for Gonzalo Yara, and Stephen guessed a free transfer coming in for Claudio Jacob, and we managed to get an £850,000 transfer fee for him. So I will now reveal the actual profits and losses for all 3 players and the transfer fees. So, Carlos Marino, he joined as a youth player for nothing, and we released him for nothing, and he signed for Athletic Bilbao. That was a 0 profit, 0 loss, broke even. Gonzalo Yara, Tom correctly identified that we got him from a free transfer from West Bromwich of Albion, and we let him go. Again, released for free. Oh, we're giving them away. What are we doing? And so he gets maximum points, whatever they are, 1 million points for this one. I don't know what they are. And Stephen, you guessed a free transfer again correctly from West Bromwich Albion. But you said we got £850,000 for him. But we didn't. We again let him go for free. I've been tricking you all along.
Bum, bum, bum. So it sounds to me, firstly, so if I remember rightly, didn't Claudio Jacob go to a club in Uruguay? So he was Argentinian nationality, but he went to Uruguay. But whatever it was for nothing. It's for nothing. No. Bit of an enigma, that one, wasn't it? Maradona. It's like he had a few good matches and then got roundly ignored.
Yes, I can't. Was it Sabri? I can't remember now. They managed to change. Karanka, yes, Karanka. Yeah, I remember being quite annoyed at the time that he wasn't playing more. But I was generally annoyed a lot in those days. So
in life or just with football or a bit of both?
Everything. I was just annoyed with everything. Just my nature.
Well, we all live and learn, and as we've all talked about, if Carlos Marino is now in his 40s, well, the rest of us have also got 20-something years older. So, you live and you learn, as we say. So the points there go to Tom. So well done to you, Tom. And thank you very much, Maradona Of The Midlands, for presenting our new game, Hombres Under the Hammer. So still to come, we have the 1865 Christmas quiz, and one of our contestants gets to choose their tricky tree tracks of their tears. But first, it's time for this.
The 1865 Sketch by Jeremy Davies. The Guardian Football Weekly podcast has finally started to give Nottingham Forest some wary, if not grudging, praise. The dying Jedi comparison they used to chuck at Nuno in his Tottenham days is looking a bit outdated, so they're casting about for an alternative point of reference. Being in and around the Champions League places at the turn of the year must surely have been at the top of every Forest fan's Christmas wish list. So, with his snowy white beard and beaming smile, is there a plausible case for comparing our manager to Father Christmas? Certainly you could say until a few weeks ago that there were many in the media, not to mention a sizable proportion of Forest fans, who did not believe in him. In Portugal, Pai Natal, as he is known, delivers presents for children to receive on Christmas Eve rather than Christmas morning, which must sound appealing to any parent accustomed to being awoken at around 5 a.m. on Christmas Day. In English football, of course, it's the day after Christmas, Boxing Day, that is the highlight of the festive period. It was Boxing Day last year that Forest kick-started their season by winning at Newcastle. And to mix religious festivals, it's been the resurrection of Chris Wood that has been most miraculous, and seen him claim the slightly dubious title of Forest's leading Premier League goalscorer. It's fitting that his second coming has been witnessed by the Premier League's three Portuguese wise men, the managers of Forest, Fulham and Manchester United, possibly bearing gifts befitting the football played by their clubs: gold, frankincense and meh. Nuno's most magical achievements this season, the wins at Anfield and Old Trafford, have seen him arrive on the team bus rather than in an airborne sleigh. Perhaps Mr. Marinakis might be more likely to favour aerial modes of transport, although a private jet might be considerably more difficult to land on suburban rooftops without waking the residents. In terms of physique, Forest's owner is perhaps closer to the build traditionally associated with Santa than is our manager, but it's hard to envisage him coming down the chimney, even if he smokes like one. On the subject of smoke, there is surprisingly little discussion of the fundamental problems created for Father Christmas by the clean energy transition. According to research published by getagent.co.uk, apparently a comparison site for estate agents, because you really can find anything on the internet, only 55% of UK homes have a chimney in these more environmentally conscious times, and 32% of those are blocked, although whether it's a low block was unreported. So how exactly is Father Christmas supposed to get in? According to the research, 16% of respondents tell their children they now leave the back door open, something much less likely to happen at Forest since Milenkovic arrived. We used to tell our kids that Santa had a magic key that could open any door, but in retrospect that seems a bit creepy, and on any of the other night of the year would probably give children nightmares, not to mention parents and the police. Leaving a window open, as Wendy did for Peter Pan, might be a better option for peace of mind, but considering Santa's famous girth, doesn't seem very practical, especially after all those mince pies and glasses of sherry. Mind you, climate change may well present an even greater problem for Father Christmas in the not-too-far-distant future, as the warming Arctic forces him to trade in the sleigh and reindeer for a boat. Perhaps Mr. Marinakis could lend him a super yacht. In such circumstances, Nuno might well be perfectly suited to take over Santa's duties after all, because if he does manage to keep us in the top four come the end of the season, I might just start believing that he can, like Cloughie before him, walk on water.
This episode is brought to you by Bleacher Report. How do you follow sports? From college football to the NBA, Bleacher Report brings you the latest news, live scores, and epic highlights from your favorite leagues, teams, and athletes, all in one app. Dive into exclusive shows hosted by your favorite athletes and original Bleacher Report series with breaking news, rumors, and predictions all season long. Download Bleacher Report to personalize your coverage.
1865.
Terrorists.
This is 1865. Take it to a podcast, plus partner, sports, social network, and stand up. You stand up to protect your team on match days. You can gain rewards such as food, booze, and the merch. You can stay in touch with fellow Reds fans. Use golden ticket code into Sixer, and you can
thank you very much to our friends at FanHub. Remember that you can access the app by going to 1865.football, download the app, and then use the code 186-ERG. That's 186-ERG, and that will give you exclusive access to beat the waiting list and get access to the app for rewards and all kinds of fun. And now it's time for something completely different, because we're joined by friend of the podcast and City Ground Stadium announcer Mark Dennison. Denno, happy Christmas. How are you doing?
Happy Christmas to you as well. I'm very well, actually. Thank you. Yeah.
Well, glad to hear it. And how have you enjoyed the season so far?
I'm enjoying it immensely, and I think maybe like a lot of people, I'm enjoying it probably more than I dared anticipate at the start of the season. And I think just even in the last 4 or 5 games, it's it's just lovely, isn't it? I'm liking this.
Yeah, well, like you say, it's more than we ever dared dream, I suppose. So I guess, for you, in when you're sort of sat behind the dugout and responding to what's going on, and you have to do your deadpan announcements, and you can have your more fun moments as well. But how's the atmosphere and the responsiveness of the fans on match days? How's it compared to the last couple of seasons in the Premier League?
Yeah, it's interesting, because I think when we first went up, there was that everything was new and shiny, and there was excitement, the post-promotion excitement, and at some point, obviously, that's got to wear off. And that first season, I guess we were always destined to be flirting with relegation, and then second season, unfortunately, was kind of more of the same. And I suppose this time it's been, as much as anything, I think it's been a matter of Nuno getting a pre-season for one. I think that was really important, and making the squad and the team and the identity of the team his own, and he's well and truly done that. And I don't know, I was hearing, as I'm sure you did as well, some people were saying, oh, maybe there's a bit of complacency and entitlement creeping in, and maybe some people are just kind of thinking, we belong in the Premier League, and that's that. And maybe the atmosphere did. I'm not sure if it was really that. I think there was nervousness, and you're bound to get some churn of different people coming along. But I do think the nervousness was maybe the biggest factor. Whereas now, we've always said it's a chicken and egg, isn't it? So the better the team are doing in terms of performance and results, the louder the crowd are. And I'm well aware that sometimes it's the crowd's job to try and pick them up when they look a little bit tentative and when they look a little bit nervous. But it is very cyclic, and success breeds success and noise. And I think, a perfect example of that was the Villa game, when to go and win a game like that was just amazing. And the noise was back. So, no great crisis, nothing to really worry about. And as I've always said, I think in the Premier League, let's just enjoy it.
Yes, so regular listeners to the podcast will know that we've always said, let's just enjoy it, just as you've said. And I think you're right. The second season, the novelty factor of being in the Premier League had worn off a little bit, which meant the anxiety and the nerves showed through a little bit. Talking about the players and the togetherness, we're seeing a lot of videos of the players on social media. From your experience of being down the ground on match day and everything, are they really as happy and together in real life as the glossy media image shows? I mean, everyone was always talking about the Callum Hudson-Odois and Ola Ainers of the world who are, dancing and smiling and having fun.
From what I see, yeah, it's a very happy and, as you say, unified group. And I can only talk about what I see firsthand. I don't have any particular exclusive access or anything like that to these people, but again, they're in a good place, aren't they? So that success and good results and league position, or for all that Nuno talks down the league position, and he's quite right. We haven't won anything yet, really. But you look where we are, and my attitude to that is that provides us with a buffer. And I was saying before the Man City and the Man United games that, if we didn't get anything from those at all, then the games leading up to it would have given us a good buffer. As it turns out, all right, we didn't get anything out of Man City. They had their blip of not losing, but we're drawing for once, and they managed to beat us. But getting 3 points against Man U, and then another three points against Aston Villa, that cushion is just increasing all the time, and that could be very useful, because if our good run does have a bit of a blip, for whatever reason, injuries, suspensions, other teams coming into a really, really good run of form, who knows what's around the corner. So, let's just enjoy where we are.
Okay. You've mentioned Nuno there. We know that Steve Cooper had this reputation as being a people person. He talked very warmly about the club, the city, the fans, and gained a lot of love for doing that, and rightly so. When Nuno arrived, he had a reputation for being a bit more reserved, perhaps. But from what we've seen of him recently, not just in his interviews, but also things like the Home for Christmas campaign and so on, he's coming across now as warm and friendly and funny as well. What's been your experience in the year or so that Nuno's been at the City Ground?
Yeah, just that. And I think, again, Steve was a really hard act to follow, wasn't he? And I'm sure Nuno was aware of that. And I really like the way that he has paid tribute to Steve's work. When we played Leicester, it was very interesting. He was talking about what a great job Steve had done at Forest. I noticed that, by contrast, Steve was very kind of, he didn't really want to talk about Forest at all. He was very focused on the job in hand at Leicester. That's fine, But you're right. I think Nuno has had that pre-season. The recruitment last summer was fantastic, because I know a lot has been made previously of, Forest's splurge when we were first promoted, and that's kind of old news in lots of ways now. But the recruitment last time around, particularly looking at the likes of Milenkovic, was just brilliant. And Nuno has managed to, have that good recruitment, have the pre-season, gel and mould those players into a system he wants, and the style of football he wants, and it's worked. And I think, again, that's helped Nuno's own kind of personality really shine through. And I'm loving all of those videos. I think the Home for Christmas campaign has been great. It's very, very timely, obviously, for the time of year. But the food bank collection, the multi-bank collection that started last Saturday, I was lucky enough to be in the fan zone, actually, so to watch that just grow and grow. It was amazing. The kids from Warriors United are brilliant, and I think that's a relationship that started a couple of months ago, and that's just grown. Dementia Choir, and I noticed as well, they're having anyone who's lonely as well around Christmas time, and that's huge. That's a huge issue these days. So I think the club has really thought about what they're doing around Christmas time, and it's I think it's great that they're doing what they're doing. It's really, really good.
I just want to change the subject.
Yeah,
to finish.
Yeah, for sure.
Completely change the subject, which is that for those of us watching on the sidelines or on television, we look at a defence comprising of Nikola Milenkovic and Morato and go, blooming heck, I wouldn't want to bump into them on a cold night. So on Saturday evening, when you were stood by the tunnel and you had Willy Bolly, Milenkovic and Morato all walking past you, did you duck for cover?
Yeah, I mean, I'm 6'2", and so I'm lucky enough. I mean, even at Forest, and we've had some fairly big players over the time. There aren't that many where you look around, you kind of feel a little bit intimidated. Apart from Carlos Miguel, of course, who's a giant. But yeah, Milenkovic is a unit. Morato, yeah, is a unit as well. And but by the way, just on him, because I know a lot of people talked about Milenkovic rightly, and he and Murillo have got a great understanding, a great partnership. But whenever Morato has come on, because he only tends to come on for 10, 15 minutes towards the end, sometimes as part of a three at the back. And by the way, great tactics on that. But that's quite a role to play. Do you know what I mean? Especially for a defender to be sitting there and just to wait, bide your time. I think he just looks so solid when he comes on, and very efficient, great with the ball. So aren't we just so lucky to be in such a nice place at the moment? And you're right, Willy Bolly as well, who's hardly played, comes on Saturday and just, it's like he's never been away. So, yeah, let's, like we said before, let's just enjoy it. And happy Christmas.
And that's a nice way to end that conversation. So thank you very much to Mark Dennison, City Ground Stadium announcer and broadcaster. We will see you at the City Ground very soon, no doubt. And Merry Christmas to you and yours.
1865.
Terrorists.
Welcome back to 1865, the Nottingham Forest podcast with Rich Ferraro and me, the Maradona of the Midlands. Thanks to Jeremy for his sketch, and massive thanks to Mark Dennison for joining us once again. Radio Nottingham really isn't the same without you, Mark. Now it's time for me to hand over the reins to Tom as he brings us the 1865 Christmas quiz. Do play along at home, won't you?
What would you like us to do?
Voice is just breaking.
Tom, it's over to you.
So, 5 questions of Nottingham Forest in the calendar year of 2024. So, the first question is: in the calendar year, how many goals have Forest scored in all competitions excluding pre-season friendlies? And I'll give the winner of this question the closest within 5.
Maradona of the Midlands. I'll go for 55.
Rich, I'm going to go for 70.
Old man Steve is going to go for 65.
And Stephen's going to go for 60.
So Maradona of the Midlands was closest. So the answer is 52 goals.
Well, I was going to say, I wasn't really.
So Maradona wins that question. So question 2. Which outfield player has played the most minutes for Forest this season?
Rich.
Go on.
Murillo.
Correct. He has played 1,508 minutes, and that stat is updated with Transfer Market. So, yeah, 1,508. So, question 3. To the nearest, what number is the average age of the current Nottingham Forest squad?
Stephen, 25.2 years old.
Okay. Maradona?
I'll go for 26, bang on.
Steve?
I'm going to go for 24.5.
And Rish?
I am going to go for 26.5.
Rish has won that. He's 0.1 out. It's 26.4. Brushing of the nose there, Rish. You nearly got it right on the nose. So
Well, yeah, and you know what, it was thinking about the fact that Yates is 27 now, and Milenkovic is, so and Sells. So we've got players who are on the other end of the spectrum, even though we've got a young team generally.
you're showing your advanced intelligence there.
I think it's years of experience.
So, question number 4: how many combined international caps does Chris Wood have, Milenkovic have, and Nico Williams have, and Ola Aina?
Oh, Maradona of the Midlands.
Go on.
124.
Topo.
150.
Rish.
Which players?
So it's Chris Wood, Nikola Milenkovic, Nico Williams, and Ola Aina.
I'm going to go for 180.
And Steve?
I'm going to go for 98.
So the answer is 230 caps.
Wow.
So Chris Wood has got 80 caps for New Zealand. Nikola Milenkovic has got 62 for Serbia. Nico Williams got 44 for Wales, and Ola Aina has also got 44 for Nigeria.
Oh, yeah, I knew it's Chris Wood that was tipping the balance to make me go for a high figure there, because I knew that he's got nearly. I thought in my mind I was thinking he's got nearly 100 caps, and actually Nico has got fewer than I thought he might, and Milenkovic has got more than I thought he might.
Who won that round? I kind of lost track there for a second.
I think it was me. I'm just going to throw it out there. I think, it's not, this hasn't been rigged in any way, but I'm clearly winning this quiz.
Question number 5. What is Nuno's win ratio?
Stephen.
Gone.
38%.
Steve?
45%.
Rish?
I'm going to go for 32%.
And Maradona?
I'll go for 37%.
He's playing a game there. He's being
that's sneaky.
I think Steve Burns is the winner. 42.4.
No way.
Oh.
You know what? It's a season of giving, and Nuno has giveth.
He
hath
has.
giveth.
So that concludes the Christmas quiz for Nottingham Forest in 2024.
Thank you very much, Tom, Quizmaster Tom. And we really appreciate all the effort you've gone to in putting together that quiz. Points are being awarded all round because, once again, it is the season for giving. And as Cliff said, the season for forgiving as well. So those of you who got things wrong, it doesn't matter. Everyone's in this together. So thank you very much there. Now, if we have a look at the last feature today, which is the Tricky Tree Tracks of Your Tears. Now, this is going to go to the person who's received the most points throughout this, but, well, that's the way it usually works. But I think this time what we want to do is we want to see if there's a consensus, because, again, it's Christmas. Everyone should have a say. So I'm just going to throw out an idea here, which is that I'm going to nominate as my song for Christmas 2024, something that's not actually a Christmas song. I'm going to nominate Whatever by Oasis, because it was it's the year of Oasis announcing their comeback, and they released this as their standalone single around Christmas 30 years ago when Forest were in the European places. Let's go around and see what everyone else thinks. So Maradona, as my sidekick on this particular podcast, what would you like to nominate?
Whatever.
All right. Don't be like that. Steve Burns, as our guest, what would you like to nominate?
Oh, I'll go with Whatever as well. Happy days of being at university and seeing the city ground lights from my rooms of residence back in the day. So yeah, let's go with that.
Okie doke. Tom, what would you like to have?
I'll go with Whatever. And there's a lot of things that come into this. Like you said, Oasis announced this year that they're reforming. It's 30 years since that brilliant season of the 94-95 season. And in the new year, there is going to be a surprise for the podcast and the listeners of that season. So stay tuned.
Ooh, he's dangling a carrot in front of our noses there. So last but not least, Topo, what would you like to choose?
I'll nominate whatever and make it a clean sweep.
Well, I think we have got a choice there. Now, normally we do football polls. Unfortunately, down to issues with social media, I'm going to have to insert those a little bit later.
Hello, it's Rich from the future here, coming back to report to you about the polls that we did on Instagram. Our first question was, who has been your player of the season so far? Ola Aina got 7%, Chris Wood got 25%, but the winner with 68% was Nikola Milenkovic. Well done, Nikola. We asked you to rate Nuno this season. 4% said good, 28% said great, and 68% said outstanding. What is your favourite kit this season? 19% went for the away kit that we still haven't worn. 30% went for the Manchester City third kit, and 52% of you said the home kit. And lastly, we asked you where will Forest finish this season. 0% went for relegation, 4% said 11th to 17th, 15% said top 4, and 81% said 5th to 10th position. Now it's back to you in the present on Football Terrorists.
1865.
Terrorists.
For the record, the winner of today's episode of Football Terrorists was... It's a tie between Steve Burns and Tom, so well done to you both. And thank you very much to Tom, Stephen and Steve, along with Jeremy, and of course, big thanks and Merry Christmas to you, Mark Dennison. We'll be back with reports after the big matches against Spurs on Boxing Day and the weekend's trip to Goodison. And coming soon, we'll have exclusive news about the Billy Davies gig at the Albert Hall, and we'll also have that very secret and special episode that Tom just mentioned. And yeah, you've trailed that very nicely for me, Tom. So let's just say, who'd have thought that history would be repeating itself with Forest being in the top 4 at Christmas. So until we next meet, from me, Rich Ferraro, from him, the Maradona Of The Midlands, wishing you a very, very Merry Christmas, and come on, you Reds.
To be whatever I choose, and I'll sing the blues if I want. I'm free to say whatever I like. If it's wrong or right, it's alright. Always seems to me you always see what people want you to see.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
When you're part of a military family, you understand sacrifice and support. At American Public University, we honor your dedication by extending our military tuition savings to your extended family. Parents, spouses, legal partners, siblings, and dependents all qualify for APU's preferred military rate of just $250 per credit hour for undergraduate and master's level programs. American Public University. Value for the whole family. Learn more at apu.apus.edu/military.